Good evening, yes, and just a second again, my name is Oliver Paglia. I'm a published author. You can also, if you Google me, you can find my Substack where I write and publish semi-regular articles online. This evening I'm going to be reading you an extract from a work in progress. It's a novel I've almost finished, a dystopian science fiction novel with the working title Meta-State. And I'll get onto that now, but I'd like to begin with a brief epigraph. It's a wonder men can eat at all, when things are big that should be small. And I'm giving all my love to this world, only to be told, I can't see, I can't breathe, no more will we be. It's a crazy world we're living in, and I just can't see that half of us immersed in sin is all we have. Futures seem to be governed by this love we have for useless twisting of our new technology. Now there is no sound, for we all live underground. And I'm thinking what a mess we're in, hard to know where to begin. If I could slip the sickly ties that earthly man has made, and now every mother can choose the colour of her child, that's not nature's way. There's nothing left to do but pray. I think it's time I found a new religion. There is nothing worse than a man-made man. There is nothing worse than a foolish man. Virtual insanity is what we're living in. And that was Virtual Insanity by J.K. and Toby Smith from Jamiroquai. Now, Meta-State. Number 1036 watched his gurus scroll on a holographic touchscreen. They had sat in silence for some time. There was nothing unusual about that. It opened up a space for nothingness. His guru was an early middle-aged man with nicely groomed grey hair and beard and a subtle, fixed smile that exuded constantly that everything was fine and there was nothing to worry about. Number 1036 could see his eyes were reading as they flicked back and forth, but from his view, all he saw was a transparent ray of blue light, the guru's finger rolling up and down at random intervals. Good, the guru finally announced, before deactivating the hollow touch and placing it without looking into a recess that closed quietly behind his hand, no button or handle on its smooth surface, denying anyone the chance to open it from without. Then he raised his arms and closed his eyes, number 1036 copied out of habit. Nothingness, the guru said, closely followed by number 1036. Yes, that's better, isn't it? Number 1036 just nodded rapidly in agreement. But before we get into our session, I have some wonderful news I'd like to share with you. Really? What's that? Number 1036 asked. Your friend, number 0063, has achieved nothingness, the guru announced. He completely debodied in his sleep and is now truly at one with everything. Oh, number 1036 responded. That is truly wonderful. He said what he knew to be correct, but only after a somber mood had grabbed him. What he meant was that number 0063 would never walk, talk, eat, or do anything ever again. Occasionally this happened, usually just before sleep or early in the morning, a member of the oneness, just completely debodied, never to be seen again. They truly broke through to nothingness, and it took them away in an instant, swirling through infinity beyond the expanse. You still have attachment, the guru said, stressing the pejorative word after a brief pause. Number 1036 looked down, defeated. I'm afraid I've lapsed recently, he said. I really don't understand what caused it. It will only take me a few days to realign, I'm sure of it. Don't worry about that, the guru said, with the same fixed smile and unblinking eyes. We all have the same starting point, in the body. Nothingness always was and always will be. It doesn't matter how long it takes us to get there. Later we shall all celebrate number 0063's dissolution. You must see this as an opportunity to move closer to nothingness. Their conversation continued much as previous sessions had, the guru asking questions that delved into number 1036's understanding of the minutiae of every aphorism of the yogi. But this time, number 1036 held back recent events that had disturbed him. He couldn't explain quite why, but there was something about the news of number 0063 and the dragging on of what became a particularly long togetherness session that number 1036 felt a peculiar need to only talk about the salient points regarding nothingness. Infinity, debodying, and all the rest with his saccharine guru. As usual, the session ended with his guru's face creased into a particularly exaggerated smile, the kind where the eyes almost disappear and every wrinkle in the face becomes accentuated. Then the door opened with a breath of trapped air, number 1036 casually rising from the comfortable swivel chair with cushioned headrest to wander out into the expanse and mingle with the oneness. The next day was peculiar. Number 1036 awoke and completed his morning routine as usual, but a repetitive thought gnawed at him. After the session with his guru, he couldn't remember anything about the previous day. It was as if it had just merged into his experience of now without any beginning or end. The morning cleansing had been an exercise in futility for number 1036, his mind roiling, unable to concentrate on the soft, droning repetition of the yogi. Later he stood by himself in a corner of the expanse, staring into a sterile water feature, the constant trickle of a lonely fountain providing a brief distraction. Then an invasive thought from before returned. But what if nothingness is an illusion? How do we know that nothingness is not just another false idea like all the others? A pang of panic and anger hit number 1036 in the chest. Panic because the gross thought contradicted his entire world, and anger because he couldn't control his mind. Then he was just numb. He had never experienced, none of the oneness had ever experienced, to the best of his knowledge, anything like this. Defeated, he slowly sat beside the fountain, unsure what to do next. All sound gradually faded around number 1036. He simply sat, the oneness shifting and changing around him until the expanse felt empty. He looked up to see open cell doors gradually closing as every member of the oneness returned to their respective dwelling. Startled at how long he had been sitting by himself, number 1036 jumped up and briskly made for his cell. He was almost in the doorway when his guru appeared beside him. "Good nothingness," the guru said, his distinctive smile tighter on his face than ever. "Oh, yes, good nothingness," number 1036 replied awkwardly to the surprised appearance. He jabbed a finger at the closing door. "Time to close doors," he said, shuffling into the narrow gap. He felt a firm hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry about that," the guru said. "Let us have a moment, just the two of us." Unwilling to pull away from his guru, number 1036 was implacably shoved out of his cell by the slow, heavy door. "Where will I rest?" number 1036 asked. "All the cell doors are closed." "Don't worry about that," his guru said softly through a tense smile, pointing at the only remaining open door. "Let's just go over to that togetherness cell and have a brief talk." Their lonely footsteps rang out in the empty expanse, and as number 1036 walked into the tiny cell, the resonating sound drew his eyes up into infinity. It was a moment of serene peace he had never quite experienced in the expanse before, but as the door closed behind him, the man dressed in grey from his dream stood staring at him from the far wall and waved with a toothless smile. Thank you.